All right, we'll get started. All right, welcome to the February 6th through 7th, 2023 board meeting. My name is Sung-ho, president of the board. Before we convene, I'd like to remind everyone present that the board is a consumer protection agency charged with administering and enforcing pharmacy law. Where protection of the public is inconsistent with the other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. This meeting is being conducted consistent with the provisions of Government Code Section 11133. Participants watching the webcast will only be able to observe the meeting. Anyone interested in participating in the meeting must join the WebEx meeting. Information and instructions are posted on our website. As I facilitate this meeting, I will announce when we are accepting public comment. I have advised the meeting moderator to allow 3 minutes to each individual providing comments. This approach is necessary to facilitate this meeting. Before we get started, I would like to staff moderating the meeting to provide general instructions. Moderator?
This is the moderator. Once the board would like to request public comments, the instructions will be displayed on the screen, and I'll be giving verbal instructions as well. And I'll open the Q&A feature. And once the Q&A feature has been open, I'll read off the instructions. If you're logged in and would like to participate in public comment, simply find the question mark inside of the square, which is typically located bottom right corner of your WebEx screen. And once the text box appears, type the word comment and make sure you send it to all panelists before clicking the send button. If you're logged in and also would like to participate, you can raise your hand by hovering your cursor or mouse over your name from the participant panel. The participant panel would have to be open. And then when you see the outline of a hand, make sure to press on the hand outline to raise your hand. If you are calling in, just press *3 to raise your virtual hand. Thank you, but back to you, President O.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I would now like to take a roll call to establish a quorum. Members, as I call your name, please remember to open your line before speaking. Maria Serpa? Maria? I see you, but I cannot hear you, Maria. We'll move on to Jig.
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jig. Good afternoon. Renee Barker.
Good afternoon, present.
Hi, Renee. India Cameron Banks. He's not here today. Trevor Chandler is not here today. Jesse Crowley.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Jesse. Jose De La Paz.
Jose De La Paz, public member, present.
Thank you, Jose. KK Jaw. I believe KK is not here today. Kula Koenig. Not here today. Ricardo Sanchez.
I'm here.
Hi, Ricardo. Thank you. Nicole Tebow, I believe, is not joining today. Jason Wise.
Hi, Sung. I'm here.
All right, Jason. And I am here. I'm back to Maria. Maria might be having some internet problems. For the purposes of quorum, the quorum has been established. If any staff could just check in with Maria to make sure she is able to connect. We're having a little challenge hearing you, Maria, and seeing you. So quorum has been established, members. We have a full agenda for our meeting over the next 1.5 days. I truly appreciate everyone's time and commitment to the Board and California consumers. I ask everyone participating today to be respectful of the work before the board today. We encourage participation by members of the public throughout our meetings at appropriate times. The board respectfully requests that when comments are provided, they're done so in a professional manner, consistent with how the board conducts its business. Members, also before I open up for public comments, I want to ensure that everyone received the additional written comments that were released this morning by staff regarding 2 agenda items, remote processing and medication error reporting. The board values input by stakeholders in the board's policymaking process very much. However, we do respectfully request that individuals seeking to provide written comments provide a comments at least 2 business days in advance of the meeting. So this can allow staff time to prepare the information for dissemination and posting on the website, as well as members time to consider the information. I do note that generally topics are discussed over several meetings and providing individuals with multiple opportunities to provide comments as the board is developing its policy. I see Maria, are you connected? Are you able to speak? Can you hear us okay? Still having issues. All right. We're moving forward. I'll now ask the moderator to open the line for individuals to provide the opportunity to provide public comment. You're not required to identify yourself, but may do so. As we open the lines, I'd like to remind everyone that the board cannot take action on these items except to decide whether to place an item on a future agenda. Members, following review of the public comments for this agenda item, I'll ask members to comment on what, if any, items should be placed on a future agenda. As a reminder, this agenda item is not intended to be a discussion, rather an opportunity for members of the board and members of the public to request consideration of an item for future placement on an agenda, at which time discussion may occur. Elizabeth, hold on one second though. Maria, your hand is raised. Oh, there you are. Welcome. All right. For the record, Maria, I think you are able to, we can hear you. But we can't see you though. I think maybe just a bandwidth issue, but. All right, Elizabeth, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you. This is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in and would like to participate, click the question mark inside of the square, type comment in the text field. Make sure it goes to all panelists before clicking the send button. You can also raise your hand by hovering your cursor mouse over your name in the participants panel under the attendees. And you can simply click on the outline of a hand once it appears. For those calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. I do have, if we can please get requests simply saying comment, if that is indeed what you are trying to achieve, is to make a public comment. Indria, I am.
Indira is one of our members. Oh, is
Oh,
she
I
here?
see. I apologize. Let me promote.
Hi, Indira. I didn't think you were joining today. Welcome.
So no requests have been made. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you. For the purposes of quorum, also, Indira is here. Indira, could you just say hello to us just to make sure you are here? Having a little technical issues. I'm not sure if it's individual members or DCA or me, but cannot hear you, Indira. And also, while that's happening, someone named Calvin has raised his hand. So Elizabeth, maybe we can go to Calvin.
Yes, thank you. I am going to set the timer for, let me double check the amount of time here, 3 minutes. Send a request to unmute your microphone, Calvin. Okay, sent another request to unmute your microphone. And we'll try that one more time. Kelvin, I'm going to send a request to unmute your microphone simply from your end. Just click the unmute me button.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hear
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's my first time joining this meeting. My name is Kelvin Chan. I'm a regional manager for Pharmacy Call Center, and we are interested in looking at having our staff do remote work, and I know that there's a temporary waiver in place for remote processing. So we're interested in taking steps or answering questions about considering remote work for a pharmacy call center environment.
Thank you for the comments, Calvin.
No further requests.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Members, having received public comment, any members would like to suggest any agendas? Hearing none, we're going to move forward with agenda item 3, recognition and celebration of pharmacist licenses in California for 40 years and other recognitions. As you may recall, several years ago, the board changed its recognition program for pharmacists and currently recognizes pharmacists that have been licensed for 40 or more years. This information is posted on our website and pharmacists are provided with a certificate. Prior to transitioning to remote meetings, the board routinely provided an opportunity for pharmacists licensed for 40 years to attend the board meeting and be recognized by the board. Although we have returned to remote meetings, I'd like to provide an opportunity for the board to recognize pharmacists that have been licensed in California for 40 years. Moderator, I'd like to ask you to open up the Q&A feature to allow pharmacists attending today that would like to be recognized by the board for 40 years of service as a California licensed pharmacist. You can simply raise your hand and we'll give you a shout out.
This is the moderator. I have Kelvin. I'll send a request to unmute your line.
Apologies, I forgot to remove my hand. Thank you.
All right.
No further requests.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Congratulations to everyone who has been licensed as a pharmacist for over 40 years. The board, thank you for your contribution to public health. Moving on to agenda item 4, approval of board meeting minutes. Included in the meeting materials are draft minutes for a few meetings that have occurred since our October board meeting. We will take them in the order included on the agenda. First, I will ask questions or comments on the draft minutes from October 25th through 26th, 2022 meeting. Members, when you speak, please remember to identify yourself prior to making any comments. And also, I will entertain a motion to approve the October 25th through 26th board meeting minutes. Maria, your hand is raised. Yes, we can.
Okay, I think I fixed my technological problem. On page 33, I do have a change.
Okay.
The very last statement on that page says, inquired about amending the motion, but were advised the committee recommendation could not be amended. I wanted to add some words to that, and now committee recommendation could not be amended, but another motion could be made should the committee's motion be voted down.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
With that, any other amendments, or would you like to make a motion, Maria?
If there are no other hands, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes for October 25th and 26th with the change just stated.
Thank you,
Jake, I'll
Maria.
second it.
Thank you, Jake. Jake seconds. Any other member comments? All right, with a motion and second, may I have you open for public comment, Elizabeth?
This is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. Instructions are on the screen. If you would like to participate, click that question mark, type comments into 12 panelists. If you would like to call in, just press *3 to raise your hand. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Yes, please. Thank you, Elizabeth. With a motion and second and public comment, we'll take a roll call vote. Maria, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jake. How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jake. Renee, how do you vote? Thank you. Indira, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you as well. Jesse, how do you vote? Thank you. Jose, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ricardo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Jason, how do you vote? Thank you, Jason. And I vote yes, the motion passes. Next is draft minutes for our consideration are from the December 14th, 2022 board meeting. Welcome your comments, and also part of your comments, if anyone would be willing to make a motion to approve December 14th, 2022 meeting minutes. Members? Maria?
I have a change on page 5. And it is the second, well, let me find out where it is. Member Patel inquired if ISMP, that paragraph, the next sentence says, Dr. Serpa advised ISMP works with national guidelines and recommendations. I think that's incorrect. I think I said, so Dr. Serpa advised that healthcare organizations, not ISMP.
Okay. Any other comments, Maria, or changes? I'll put you on the spot again, if that's okay with you. I don't see any other hands raised, so if you're like to make a motion, Maria, to approve the minutes.
Okay, I move that we accept the minutes from December 14th as written with the change I just suggested.
Thank you, Maria. And seconds for Maria?
This is Jake. I'll second it.
Thank you, Jake, as well again. And with that, Anne, you got those changes, correct? Just want to confirm. Okay, thank you, Anne. All right, with that, we'll go for public comment.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you are logged in, click the question mark inside of the square, type comment in the text field, and send it to all panelists. If you are calling in, just press *3 from your phone to raise your virtual hand. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Yes, please. Thank you. With that, we'll take a roll call vote. Maria, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. Jake, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Renee. How do you vote? Thank you, Indira. How do you vote? Didn't hear you there. Okay. Indira is visually saying yes. I hope that's
Yes.
okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Indira. Jesse, how do you say? How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jose. How do you vote? Thank you, Ricardo. How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Jason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes, the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to the next agenda item 5, Standard of Care Ad Hoc Committee Report. On behalf of the committee, I'm happy to provide an update. I would again like to thank my fellow committee members, Maria Serpa, Renee Barker, Indira Cameron Banks, Jessica Crowley, and Nicole Tebow. Together with stakeholders, we have covered a lot of ground on this topic. Today, we'll provide a brief update on the activities from our meetings on November 16th, 2022 and February 1st, 2023. First, continuation of discussion and consideration of policy questions related to standard of care enforcement model in the practice of pharmacy. During our November 16th meeting, we continued our discussion on policy questions intended to assist us in evaluating if a transition to a standard of care enforcement model is feasible and appropriate for the regulation of pharmacy. The meeting materials include some background, so I will not go into significant detail, but as a quick reminder, the board was required to evaluate this issue with interested stakeholders and is required to make a recommendation to the legislatures. The board already uses a standard of care enforcement model. However, I think consistent with their legislative mandate to see if there are opportunities to more robustly use such model in enforcement. I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the meeting materials where 2 examples of how standard of care enforcement model is currently applied in investigations in enforcement. Because the information from the November 16th is also included in the draft report that we will be discussing next, I do not intend to review the discussion in any great detail. I'd like to note that through this process, we have enjoyed significant participation from stakeholders. Members of the committee, is there any information you would like to highlight to our members before I open up for member comments? Seeing none, members, any comments, questions or comments? Maria, go ahead.
I just wanted to share with the committee or with the board members that the committee did a wonderful job. I really enjoyed being part of this interactive discussion, and the draft that you have received in the package has already had some suggested changes, and so we're looking forward to incorporating those and listening to others at the next meeting. Thank you for allowing me to participate on that committee.
Thank you. Maria, your participation has been so valuable. So, and all the committee members. All right, any other member comments before we go to public comment? Being none, Elizabeth, if you could please open up for public comment.
Moderator, the Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in, simply click on the question mark inside of the square, type comment, and send it to all panelists. If you are calling in, you can press *3 to raise your virtual hand. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, moving on to the next item, B, under standard of care, discussion and consideration of draft legislative report regarding assessment of standard of care enforcement model in the practice of pharmacy. Last week, as part of our standard of care committee meeting, we reviewed the first draft of the legislative report. The committee will review it again in May. I don't intend to review each section in detail. Overall, the draft appeared appropriate to members and stakeholders alike. Staff will be making some formatting changes, such as numbering the policy questions, adding page numbers, and correcting some typographical errors. In addition, the committee received written comment to clarify portions of the presentations. The majority of the discussion during the meeting centered around two of the policy questions included in the report, questions 3 and 4. Specifically related to question 3, it was determined to further refine the response to clarify that the need of pharmacists' autonomy is necessary to treat patients within their clinical care, consistent with their expertise and judgment. In addition, there were significant discussions surrounding question 4 regarding the board to believe if there should be a prohibition on the corporate practice of pharmacy. The discussion specific to this question included many different aspects, including perhaps the need to clarify that the intent is not to prohibit corporations from ownership of pharmacies, but more related to corporations driving the practice of interfering in a pharmacist's practice. It was determined that this issue must be expanded upon in the board's response to the question. Comments from stakeholders supported the further expansion of the answer to clarify the intent. There appeared to be consensus that caution is necessary. Committee members, I know that was just a quick overview of the policy questions discussion. Was there anything else you'd like to highlight? I see no raised hand. Members, any thoughts or comments you want to share about this portion? All right, seeing none, we're going to go for public comment.
Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in, click the question mark, type comment, send to all panelists. If you're calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. No requests. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Yes, please. Thank you, Elizabeth. Quiet bunch today. All right, moving on to next section, recommendations. It's there. All right. Members, sorry about that. During our discussion on the recommendations, members noted agreement with content. Members suggested that the board provide definitions of standard of care enforcement model and a standard of care patient care model. Members also noted that the recommendation did not sufficiently reflect that the recommendations are consistent with the board's consumer protection mandate. Public comment agreed with the need for definitions and also suggested that the report should include some next steps. Committee members, do you have any additional comments on the recommendations portion of the report? Seeing none, we'll go for members. Any thoughts? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go for public comment.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is open. The instructions are on the screen. If you would like to participate and logged in, you can press the question mark, type comment in the text field, and send it to all panelists. If you're calling in, press star 3 from your phone to raise your virtual hand. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Thank you. Very quiet bunch today. All right, moving on to then next item C, discussion. So staff will be working on updating the report consistent with our discussion. The updated drafts will be reviewed during the May standard of care meeting, which most likely will be the last standard of care ad hoc committee meeting. And that final draft will be reviewed during the full board meeting, probably in June. All right, next is discussion and consideration of legislative proposal related to pharmacist scope of practice. Following review of the report, we transitioned to discussing opportunities to realize some of the recommendations included in the report. To evaluate this issue again with stakeholders, we considered several policy questions. Because of the timing of the committee meeting and the release of these meeting materials, summary of the discussion is not included in the meeting materials. With everyone's patience, I will provide a brief. I will try to be brief. Probably won't be brief. Apologies. Summary. So, question 1. Under current law, the scope of practice varies based in part on the practice setting, i.e., pharmacists working in a healthcare setting may perform functions under BPC 4052.1 and 4052.2. Is it appropriate to include the authorities for all pharmacists? Members agreed that the authorities should not be limited to just some practice settings. Public comment was in support and also highlighted some related sections of the law that would also require amendment to allow all pharmacists to have the same authorities. Public comment also suggested that the board should no longer require regulations above USP compounding chapters. However, members did not agree with the comment. Members also noted that a pharmacist must have the ability to decline to perform a clinical service if they believe they do not have the requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities. Moving on to the question 2, under current law, there are specified functions that pharmacists are authorized to perform, but only pursuant to state protocols developed and are approved by other boards or authorities. Could a transition to more of a standard care practice model to provide these services remove a barrier to access to care while ensuring patient safety? Members all spoke in support of removing such protocols. Public comment also spoke in support, with some public comments suggesting that the board's protocols could become guidelines as opposed to requirements. Public comments indicated that with this transition, there is going to be a higher need for record-keeping requirements. Public comments suggested that the board should consider including a provision in the law that explicitly states that no other agency may define or interpret the practice of pharmacy. Commenters suggested that the scope of practice of pharmacy technicians must also be changed and that changes to payer reimbursement models must be made to ensure new pharmacists provide services will be reimbursed. Members noted that issue with working conditions must be addressed to support supposed expanded patient care services. Next question 3, are there opportunities to simplify pharmacists' authority related to dispensing functions? Should pharmacists have authority to complete missing information on a prescription? Members noted that generally spoke in support, but noted the issue can be nuanced. Members indicated that a pharmacist should have the authority to do so if they believe they have sufficient information to do so and it is in the best interest of the patient. Other members indicated that there is a need for more discussion. Public comment indicated that there are opportunities to simplify the law, but that such changes could have a negative impact on provisions for reimbursement that are relied upon for authority for purposes of reimbursement. Next question was, should pharmacists have the authority to furnish medications that do not require diagnosis or are preventative in nature? Members noted that when considering health equity and access to care, such authority generally seems appropriate. However, it could get complicated. Members also indicated that clarification to the questions may be helpful to specify if it is limited to new diagnosis versus no diagnosis. Public comment indicated that there are times when medication is missing from a drug order that would be included as part of a standardized treatment protocol, such as an anti-nausea medication along with chemotherapy medication. Providing the missing complementary medication appears appropriate. Public comment suggested that the PIC at a location would determine when services would be provided. I'm going to take a pause really quick here, since there's 8 questions, halfway point. Any member comments or anything to add for our members, or any questions for our committee? Being none, I will continue on. Okay, should a pharmacist, so question 5, Elizabeth. Should pharmacists have the authority to furnish medications for minor non-chronic health conditions such as pink eye, lice, ringworm? During the meeting, we discussed some of the authorities pharmacists enjoy in Ontario, Canada. We generally agreed pharmacists should have such authority, but noted that without insurance reimbursement issues being addressed, it may not be implemented. Members considered if this authority should be limited to adult patients. Public comment spoke in support of the expansion and noted the need for pharmacists to have access to information. Next question was 6. Should pharmacists have the authority to furnish medications for which a CLIA wave test provides diagnosis and the treatment is limited in duration, such as flu, COVID, strep throat? Members agreed that a test to treat model is in the best interest of patients, especially for conditions with a narrow therapeutic window, such as for treatment of COVID or flu. Public comment notes that the authority should not be limited to CLIA wave tests, indicating that it should also include tests performed by patients. Commenters also noted that the board may need to either develop regulation or develop expectations about the records a pharmacist must maintain, documenting their process and clinical thinking. Next question 7, should pharmacists have the authority to order and interpret drug therapy related tests as opposed to current authority limited to only ordering and interpreting tests for purposes of monitoring and managing the efficacy and toxicity of drug therapy? Some members spoke with support of the expansion, while others were concerned it may not be appropriate in all settings. Public comments suggested that the board needs to be looking to the future and the need to maximize access. Other comments spoke in support of the expansion. Last question, where a pharmacist is practicing outside of a pharmacy, what requirements are necessary for records and the board's ability to inspect such practice? Members noted agreement with the concept and discussed the importance of pharmacists sharing information with other healthcare providers. Having reviewed all of the policy questions and summary of the discussion, members, was there anything I missed? Committee members, anything that I missed or anything that you'd like to expand upon? There are 4 committee members today, so please raise your hand if you want to add anything. And we'll go to members. Members, any comments or thoughts? Obviously, we're working hard over there at Standard Care Ad Hoc Committee. There are a lot of very interesting and exciting and fun discussion happening. So I urge all of you to participate and listen on to our meetings. All right, with all of that, we're going to go for public comment. Elizabeth, please open the line for public comment.
Yes, this is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you would like to participate, click the question mark inside of the square, typically bottom right corner of your WebEx screen, and type the word comment in the text field and make sure it goes to all panelists. If you're calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. So I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes, and I'm going to send a request to unmute Keith Yoshizuka's microphone. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Give me just a moment as I find you on the list. I sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Keith Yoshizuka, California Society of Health System Pharmacists. Chairman, I make reference to your previous comment about having the PIC responsible for determining whether pharmacists can perform different furnishing functions. I would reference to your last item, number 8, that acknowledges that the practice of pharmacy often occurs outside of the 4 walls of a brick and mortar pharmacy. So in such cases, there is no PIC. So, you know, in crafting language, and I'm sure that the committee would be wary of this, I would be hesitant to require PIC approval in situations where there is no PIC. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great comment, Dr. Yoshizuka.
This is the moderator. No further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. We went through this report a lot faster than I thought. So we are actually through today's meeting for open session. Now it's time for next agenda item, which is closed session. Thank you for members of the public for your participation today. As indicated on the agenda, the board will now convene in closed session. Adjournment for the day will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed. Members of the public, thank you for joining the meeting today. We will reconvene tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Members, we will begin closed session in about 10 minutes. Just stay right on here. Our closed session, just in case for anyone who hasn't been in closed session for a while, we are just gonna be moved into a different room. So just stay connected, and we'll see you in the closed session in 10 minutes. So members, about at 1:50, we'll start the closed session.
This is the moderator. I'm going to start making the transition. I'm going to stop the recording.